That's the point. That is the point. The fact that they used her in a primetime hearing and you won't rule out using her, or didn't rule out using her, putting her on the witness stand when everybody knows she wasn't telling the truth, that says it all. That's the degree the left and Democrats were willing to go to get President Trump, putting on the witness stand someone everybody knows is making it up. Everybody knows that. And you were willing to do it. By the way, you know how many times Cassidy Hutchinson was mentioned in their report, the January 6th report? Any idea, Mr. Smith?
I do not.
185 times. Someone that the whole country knows wasn't telling the truth, and you were still considering putting her on the witness stand because you had to get President Trump.
Today, we're diving into one of the most explosive controversies surrounding the January 6th investigation and the role of Cassidy Hutchinson, a key witness whose testimony has ignited fierce debate. If you want the latest breakdowns on major political stories, make sure to subscribe right now.
Mr. Smith, is Cassidy Hutchinson a liar? She was their star witness, January 6th committee, their star witness in one of those staged and choreographed hearings they paid the former president of ABC News to put together. She was, in fact, the only witness at this special primetime hearing, Tuesday, June 28, 2022, 8 o'clock in the evening, and she told some stories. I mean, these were some stories. She talked about President lunged across the back seat, grabbed the steering wheel, tried to drive the car to the Capitol. And I just want to know, you think she was lying?
Chairman Jordan, my assessment of that particular issue is that with respect to the testimony about the president lunging towards the driver, my recollection of her testimony about that is that it was secondhand. She had said she'd heard that from somebody.
You familiar with the name Tony Ornato?
I'm sorry?
You familiar with the name Tony Ornato?
Yes.
White House Deputy Chief of Operations, Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations, right? You remember what he said about it?
As I sit here right now, I do not.
Yeah, he said it didn't happen. How about Bobby Engel? You familiar with that name?
Yes, I am.
Secret Service agent who was actually in the car that day. You know what he said? He said it didn't happen. And they both said the first time they ever heard this story was when Ms. Hutchinson testified in the primetime hearing as their star witness of the January 6th committee. By the way, did you ever confirm her testimony about this particular incident?
We conducted, as I said before, our own independent investigation of all aspects of the case that we thought was relevant. We, attorneys from my office.
Did you ever confirm it? That's a simple question.
Well, we interviewed, or I should say attorneys in my office before.
Did you ever confirm the president leaping across the seat, grabbing the steering wheel, this whole concoction she brought up in the January 6th hearing? Did you ever confirm that?
Right. We interviewed another firsthand witness who was in the car who did not confirm that had happened, but also
in your deposition to the committee last month, Mr. Smith, you said this: my recollection with Ms. Hutchinson was a number of the things that she gave evidence on were secondhand hearsay. You remember making that statement to us last month in the deposition?
I did, and I was referring particularly to what we're talking about now.
Yeah, and you also said Ms. Hutchinson, regarding this particular claim, was a second or even third-hand witness. We asked you, if you were a defense attorney, how would you handle cross-examining her if she was on the witness stand? And you said, if I were a defense attorney and Ms. Hutchinson were a witness, the first thing I would do was seek to preclude her testimony because it was hearsay. You remember saying all that?
Yes, that's correct, sir.
That's correct, right? Were you going to put her on the witness stand if you ever got to trial?
We had not made final determinations as to who we were going to call as a witness. We had a large...
You were still considering her?
We had a large choice of witnesses in this case.
Are you familiar with what Washington Post reporters Carol Leonnig and Aaron Davis said in their book? They did this book, 300-some pages book on chronicling the whole investigation at the Justice Department. And here's what they said on page 310. They said, Jack Smith had wondered whether some of Hutchinson's claims might be relied upon at trial. Still, at one point, Smith told the elections team he wasn't ready to give up on Hutchinson's account. Ultimately, however, Trump administration officials uniformly, fiercely disputed her accounts under oath. Prosecutors on your team told Smith they wouldn't want to use Hutchinson as a witness in court, and Smith agreed. Are Carol Leonnig and Aaron Davis, who wrote this, are they lying?
My recollection is that I certainly had not made any final determinations about who we were going to call.
And that's the point. That is the point. The fact that they used her in a primetime hearing, and you won't rule out using her, or didn't rule out using her, putting her on the witness stand when everybody knows she wasn't telling the truth, that says it all. That's the degree the left and Democrats were willing to go to get President Trump, putting on the witness stand someone everybody knows is making it up. Everybody knows that. And you were willing to do it. By the way, you know how many times Cassidy Hutchinson was mentioned in their report, the January 6th report? Any idea, Mr. Smith?
I do not.
185 times. Someone that the whole country knows wasn't telling the truth, and you were still considering putting her on the witness stand because you had to get President Trump. And everybody can see that.
Hutchinson rose to national attention as the so-called star witness in one of the January 6th committee's high-profile hearings. She described dramatic events in the president's motorcade, including claims that the former president lunged at the steering wheel, attempting to drive to the Capitol. Her testimony aired during prime time, capturing the nation's attention. But questions have swirled about the reliability of her account and whether prosecutors ever truly verified her claims. Subscribe so you don't miss these updates. The heart of the controversy lies in how her statements were investigated. According to testimony from Jack Smith, the special counsel overseeing parts of the January 6th probe, many of Hutchinson's claims were second-hand or even third-hand accounts. Key figures who were actually present that day, including White House staff and Secret Service agents, reportedly said they never witnessed these events. This raises an important question. Was her account fully corroborated, or was it a story that gained outsized attention despite weak verification? Subscribe now to stay informed on this developing story. Even more striking, public reporting suggests that Smith considered using Hutchinson as a witness in a potential trial, despite internal concerns about the credibility of her claims. Media accounts indicate that some prosecutors on the team advised against calling her, while Smith reportedly did not completely rule her out. This situation has fueled accusations of political bias and strategic choices that prioritize spectacle over verified evidence. If you want deep dives into the strategy behind major political investigations, subscribe to our channel. From a broader perspective, this controversy highlights a recurring tension in high-stakes investigations, the balance between compelling testimony and factual reliability. Star witnesses can drive headlines and capture public attention, but if their accounts are disputed or unverified, it can undermine trust in the entire process. Hutchinson's case is a reminder that in politics and the justice system alike, facts and perception often collide in ways that are both fascinating and troubling. Subscribe to keep following the stories that matter. Finally, whether you lean left, right, or somewhere in between, the Hutchinson debate raises a question about transparency and accountability in investigations that shake history. When witnesses are showcased in prime time, the public deserves clarity about how their claims are verified and weighed. This is not just a story about one witness, but about the standards we hold for truth in public life. Subscribe to our channel for continuous coverage and analysis.